Hey everybody, it's Brad Kramer from Provanio Consulting. We do safety and environmental consulting. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about a topic that's going to be very relevant to our business climate due to the economy. Primarily, how do you help make safety help make your business more competitive, right? So as things go bad with the economy, as you know, a few more businesses are going to be going bankrupt, and a lot of things are going to be happening here in the coming months. Businesses are going to be challenged to cut budgets or find other sources of revenue, right? Unfortunately, when we see during previous recessions and stuff like that, businesses a lot of times will cut budgets that don't help them in the future, right? They cut their marketing budget. A lot of times they lay off employees, which leads to good talent leaving, and they're not able to keep up. They overstress the employees that are still there, and those employees start leaving or feeling stressed. And a lot of times it leads to a degree of uncertainty with the employees, right? So, how can you utilize your safety department, your safety culture to help your business cut those expenses without actually like slashing the budget, right? Because the last thing you want to do is start slashing, say, the safety budget, and that leaves you at risk for a lot of things that go bad in the future. All right. So, looking at safety, your safety department or your safety culture as a way to make your business more competitive out in the marketplace. First of all, safety is not just about regulations. All right. See this big old book of OSHA regulations. This isn't what makes safety. All right. This is just the law as it applies to safety. But a good safety program really goes above and beyond that. Those are just guidelines, right? I mean, of course, they're laws and you have to follow them, but they're guidelines that kind of help you get where you got to go. A part of a game plan. They're just part of it, right? So let's look at the safety department as part of your business function, right? I mean, we look at other departments in your business. I mean, you have marketing, you have your accounting department, you have maintenance and operations, you have all your different departments, and they all play a role, all right? And it seems like a lot of times safety gets that bad rap within a company is, here comes a safety guy. They're just going to spend more money and they're just going to make us go through more worthless training, right? Well, not the case if you have a good safety culture, if you have a true professional that sits in that role for safety and a good top down view of safety where it's being promoted, the correct version of it. All right. So when you think about, let's say, your maintenance program, right? Preventative maintenance keeps your equipment running. If you don't do those PMs, equipment breaks down, all of a sudden you can't manufacture product. You have to spend a lot of time getting that equipment back up and running, waiting for parts and stuff like that. So it's understood that a good PM program is going to be invested in. All right. Companies that cut those PM programs think they're going to cut costs effectively, and their stuff breaks down and it ends up leading to a whole other mess of problems. Backup parts keep your equipment running smoothly, right? You don't have to shut down when those unexpected things break. So you have a good bank of backup parts. Your qualified technicians, maintenance technicians, make sure that they're able to work on the equipment that you have. Therefore, companies should be investing in those maintenance techs, right? You don't want some kid right out of high school that doesn't know how to fix things properly working on your $1 million equipment, right? So companies train them, they invest in qualified employees, and you keep good relationships with those suppliers and vendors that can um, get parts to you, make sure you're up and running, that keep you in the loop with best practices and stuff like that, right? So a maintenance program, when invested in correctly and you have the right people in place and the right plan, leads to a company that keeps building, right? Keeps making things, right? Well, your safety program is just like that. It should be a good function of that business. So how can we look at that a little bit differently within your safety culture? Look at your policies and procedures. All right, that there is kind of your foundation. That's the roadmap that your business utilizes to achieve its ends. Right, those policies. If you have, say, a safety policy and that thing is this thick and it's all legalese and nobody and the company knows where to find it or how to follow it or what those words mean, It's nothing more than some binder that's going to be kept back in some corner. All right. So you want those safety policies and procedures to be relevant, as concise as possible, so that people can actually read them, and relatable to your employees, right? If you have outdated procedures and stuff like that, nobody's following them, they don't make sense, right? So it should be consistent. They should be documented, easy for everybody to find and follow. And it shouldn't be, of course, you need your safety policies, but then when you start looking at your standard operating procedures and stuff like that, that are actually utilized out on the plant floor, it shouldn't be just safety. That safety should be built into those SOPs for how that equipment runs or how that job is done, and be a reliable part of that process. That way you get good quality control, just like your quality control measures, right? Training, how do you look at training within your business? You want your employees to be able to relate to that training, right? So if they walk into that training and the language is above their head, it's boring, it's something that they can't relate to, they're not going to walk out of that room, that training, with anything. It's not going to be a good investment of your time and money, right? Because everybody in that room going through that training, you're investing in their time, right? So it should be engaging, right? You can't always get that by videos, right? Videos can be one tool in your toolbox, one method that you train with, but nobody likes going into a room and it's just one video after another, and that's all the training. It is typically old videos or something like that, that there's no engagement, there's no question and answer. It's not really specific or relevant to that facility. It's just kind of mundane stuff that applies to everybody, right? So you watch a forklift training video and it's all forklift, like you don't have in your facility, right? Different scenarios, all that kind of stuff that really wouldn't be relevant to you. So employees don't get that knowledge out of a video that they would get in a real training with a qualified instructor. And also OSHA's come out and said that, videos and online training doesn't always count as training. It's got to have like a good question and answer. So the employees, the participants have to be able to ask somebody questions and get something out of it if something's not clear. So you don't get that from videos that say somebody that's not a competent instructor. So let's say the HR person, the HR manager, if they don't know anything about the forklifts, I'm not saying HR does or doesn't know, just using that as an example, and they just use a video for the annual training, if employees can't raise their hand and say, hey, I've got this question, and get a real good answer out of it, that doesn't count. That doesn't cover all your bases for training, right? And so employees should learn and understand, the hows and the whys of why they're doing things in order for that training to be relevant. All right. So far we haven't touched on so much how that leads to a business being competitive, but we'll get there in a moment here. These are all pieces in that puzzle, tools in that toolbox, right? All right, now we get into how it's going to make you more competitive. Employee engagement. Your reputation in the community as an employer doesn't come from your banners on the wall. It doesn't come from the words that are in your employee handbook that talk about these are our values, these are our policies. That's not what drives your safety culture. That's not your reputation out in the community. Your reputation is what your employees think and what they tell the other people out in the community. So when they go and play softball with their buddies, or go and have a beer at the bar, or talk to their spouse, or whatever, what they relay for their experiences, that becomes your reputation out in the community. Not necessarily what your poster says on the wall that safety is number one. If your employees go out in the community and say, my company doesn't care about my safety, that's your reputation. All right. So what does that reputation mean to you? A lot of things. If you have a poor reputation out in the community, one, your employees are going to be wanting to leave you, right? If their spouses think that they're unsafe in your workplace, their spouses are going to be pushing them to leave your place. So that leads to poor retention of your employees, and you're not going to get that quality talent walking through your door saying, hey, I want to work for you. Okay. That's a major factor in today's environment. Even if we get to the point of being a poor economy, like where there's higher unemployment and stuff like that, good employees still have choices on where to go to work. And they want to go and work at those places where they're cared about and they feel that their needs are being met. And safety is a large part of that. All right. They want to see a substantial commitment by you as a business owner or manager on how to make safe, how their job is safe, right? They don't care about the dry numbers that they see, the um, key point indicators and stuff like that, the KPI board. They don't care about your recordable rate. All right. They don't care how many first aids or near misses there have been that month. Their relationship to your safety program comes with how they feel out on the plant floor. If I'm running a piece of equipment and I feel like every day when I run that equipment's putting me in danger, regardless of what those numbers on the wall say, that's my feeling, right? That's how I relate to my job is how I do the job. If you're having me move 50-pound bags all day long from one pallet to another and I go home and my back hurts, that's my safety, right? I realize that down the road I'm going to have back problems and it's your fault as an employer, right? So that's how they're going to relate to your safety culture, not the numbers on the wall, but how they feel in that job around them. Okay. So how can you find that stuff out? Talk to your employees out on the plant floor. Be cognizant that even people that you have as, say, that production manager that people look up to and respect, a lot of times they'll be apprehensive to talk to that person because they feel that production is number one, right? So if that production manager just comes up and doesn't really think through what they're going to say, just, hey, how do you feel out here on the plant floor? Do you think your job is safe? Very few employees are going to say, no, I don't think so. I think there's more that can be done here. I don't feel safe. So there's going to be other ways that you're going to want to find that out. You might have somebody on your staff and management that has really good relationships with those employees that gets them to open up. It might be safety committees. I found the safety committees that are well run and aren't run by management, but run by the members, the plant floor employees, the operations folks, are the most effective ways at finding out how people feel and where those safety problems are out on the plant floor. Surveys can be a great way when done correctly. I mean, I've taken a lot of surveys over my career as an employee, and some of them I felt were good, and I was able to communicate my thoughts. Others I felt like management was just looking for a way to pencil whip. Yeah, we took a survey and things are fine and dandy, right? So a well thought out survey could be a way to find out how your employees feel and where those problems are out on the plant floor, right? So as you start looking at where those problems are in your facility, in your business, keep in mind where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Where you have employees getting injured, where you find that there's bottlenecks in your production process, where things are inefficient, maybe materials are moved more than they have to be. They're trucked over here across the plant floor, and then they use a pallet jack and take them over here. Forklift comes and brings it back over there. Where you find those inefficiencies, a lot of times there's also safety problems and vice versa, where there's those safety problems, you have inefficiencies, right? So if we can focus on, okay, where do we find these safety problems? And a lot of times we can coax those inefficiencies out of that process because it's going to be full of them, right? Jobs that run very smoothly and don't have those hiccups, don't have those bottlenecks and stuff like that, they're usually more thought out and everything else like that. Typically, you don't have those interrelated problems, right? So watch for where there's smoke, there's fire, right? And some of those safety problems that I've found out on plant floors and fixed have been some of the best return on investments that you can find in a business, right? I've fixed things that, even though they're initially safety related, have come back with ROIs in the 3 to 6 months, right? And so when you're talking about, a $30,000 to $50,000 investment, if not more, 3 to 6 months is a darn good ROI, right? And we can find those with safety problems. What would your business do with an extra $50,000 every 6 months being saved, right? that can go a long ways to helping your business through the coming, recession or whatever we're going to see down the road here. Personally, I think a depression is coming. But either way, whatever our economy does, even if it's booming, I wouldn't mind having that extra $50,000 a month or 6 months, right? All right, so how do we leverage that strong safety culture? Now we've looked at, a few things about, our policies and procedures and how to make training more effective and employee engagement, and where there's smoke, there's fire, with fixing those ROIs. So how do we leverage that out in the community, in the marketplace, to make your business more competitive, right? Because that's what it's all about, right? Making your business competitive. Yeah, we all have our reasons for being in business. We want to create a better experience for our customers and stuff like that. But if we're not getting customers, if the dollars aren't flowing in, we can't achieve our goals, right? Like I talked about before, employee recruitment and retention. I want the best talent under my roof as possible, right? I want quality employees who work hard, they're engaged, they're going to go out and they're going to be my best marketers. They're going to go out in the community and get their friends who they want to work with to work there. They're not going to invite their buddies that are slackers and stuff like that. They're going to invite their brightest and their best friends to work there, right? And they're driving that reputation that you're a quality place to work. You care about their safety. You care about them as people, which is exactly what you want as an employer, right? Market your business. Use those metrics to market your business. We're safe. We have that employee retention. So when a business markets and says, we have 200 employees or whatever, and the average tenure of an employee is 15, 20 years, that speaks something out in the marketplace, right? Your customers are going to know that you're not going to be challenged to make their parts or whatever it is you supply them, because you're constantly trying to find new employees, right? Those community relationships, right? That message gets out to the community. If you're going to build a new building or need some kind of relationship with the community, the city council, city planner, other folks, that reputation is going to precede you, and it's going to make it easier for you to achieve your ends with collaboration and commitment from your community. Even when we're talking about tax breaks and stuff like that, or anything else that your community can give you, if you have that quality reputation in the community, they're going to want to work with you more, right? Your insurance rate, right? When talking about work comp, those premiums are a big part of your business expenses. The more you can drive them down through safety initiatives, the less you're going to pay. And you're also going to make sure that you're not having employees that are constantly out injured, usually driving OSHA inspections and stuff like that. So there's a lot of ways that a good safety culture is going to help your business grow and be more competitive. All right. So I'd love to give you more ideas. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. It's brad@provenioconsulting.com. That's PROVENIO consulting.com. And I'd love to help you out. Have a great day.